in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. Good morning from Cayman Brac. This is your host, Kathy Miller, and I have also guest hosting with me this morning, live from the Alexander Hotel. I have Mr. Orrett Connor, who you all know as the host of For the Record, and one of our moderators for the debates last night. Good morning, OC. How you doing?
Good morning, Kathy. I'm fine. How are you?
You know, I wish I had a little bit more sleep as well, but I'm doing well. It's nice to be in the Brac. It's nice to be back here. And my first time broadcasting the Buzz from the Brac.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And every time I come over here, you know, I am amazed and reminded of what a beautiful island we have here, and even more tempted to purchase a piece of land here as well. So if you're a real estate agent out there, preferably Caymanian real estate agent as well, you know, if you make an offer, if you find something nice, you may have a customer.
No, see, we know who's going to show up trying to sell you a piece of land during the show. Yes, they did last time, right? So they did. Mm-hmm. Well, our big news really to start the day off with is we did have our debates with Cayman Brac East and Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman last night. So as the moderator for both of them, one of the moderators for both of them, along with Giovanni Ebanks, what is your overall summary of how last night went?
I would say that the debate and the answers to the questions posed to all of the candidates, their responses showed an unending love for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, and their vision of how they want to see these two islands move forward. They have expressed they don't want to make the same mistakes that we have in Grand Cayman. They sometimes feel that they're still treated as a half or step sister, and I reminded them when they were talking about, they referred to us, to these islands at one point in time as the sister islands. I said, remember, the early terminology was also the lesser islands, and what was it that made Cayman Brac and Little Cayman lesser than Grand Cayman? And I think it's probably just the use of the English language wanting to describe that they're smaller, so they use lesser, in place of that. But, a really, really strong desire to see Cayman Brac and Little Cayman move in the right direction and move in the direction that Brackers and Little Caymanians want to see them move.
I did not know that back in the day, the sister islands used to be referred to as the lesser islands. Yes. And while I can understand it in one context of being, smaller, so less in size than Grand Cayman, at the same time, on the other hand, it's a bit of a demeaning word, because it's almost saying you're less than, you're just
so derogatory.
Yeah, yes. You're a little smaller. You're not as big or important, or the emphasis that could be placed on that term. So I think it was a good idea to switch to sister islands for sure.
Yeah. And, we finished after 10 o'clock, and I believe I went outside in front of the hotel, and it probably was minutes to 11, and two opposing candidates were still outside there talking with each other on friendly terms. I again, compare and contrast the sister islands to Grand Cayman, and sometimes the vitriol that is spewed, in political circles over there, and what we see over here, quite different.
Right. I believe it was Mr. Tibbetts, I remember saying, we don't really do the mudslinging. And there's me ahead of time encouraging the mudslinging. Like, it's a debate, guys. We're here to challenge each other, our views, the answers, because that's a real life scenario of what you're going to be doing when you're in Parliament as well, right? It's not all kumbaya. We're not all holding hands around a fire. It's really serious matters that are discussed and very opposing views.
Yeah.
And so, I was trying to edge that out of them a little bit more, but it was, as you said, a little bit more peaceful in that sense. But it was still things brought up, points made. Some points everybody was in agreement with. We're supporting each other, or just bringing a different perspective.
And what I also noticed that while over in Grand Cayman, especially on the social media posts, the opposition to the building of the school and the spending of whatever amount it comes to, I do not detect that type of opposition here in Cayman Brac, and certainly during the debate, you didn't detect it either. Some candidates who have views on it, maybe opposing views, want to possibly review, look at it, but no one has said that they're going to cancel the contract or end the construction.
Right. Everybody seems in support of a school.
Yes.
Perhaps the multi-use of it. That's where the different perspectives were coming in for sure. So, and I think I'm in agreement with that. Is can we make it as efficient as possible for the cost that it is?
Yeah.
So,
but we have a beautiful island here in Cayman Brac, and we really need to appreciate it. People over in Grand Cayman need to appreciate, what they're doing here, and they need to also realize that as Caymanians, they have as much right and should have as much opportunity to all of the amenities that we have in Grand Cayman, and doing it the way that they want to do it, so that they preserve Cayman Brac and Little Cayman for what they want it to be, them to be.
Right. And I think one of the key points that stood out to me was the need for a little bit more policing, to supplement the police force a little bit more. And I think the Premier had mentioned they could use up to 16 police officers here.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if she said it was written into a budget, perhaps for
I think
the next
the
year.
additional funds that they gave the Commissioner of Police based on his request. And I think they were talking about 4 officers for Little Cayman as opposed to 2 that they have now as well.
Yes. And to look at bringing back a veterinarian for Cayman Brac at least, and how that really impacted agriculture here as well.
Yeah. And what was interesting, the telemedicine part of it during the course of the debate as well. Mr. Tibbetts had a very valid point. And when Nicholas retorted and talking about having the necessary bandwidth and all of those things, I think that was extremely interesting. And again, it goes to show you how each individual candidate looks at the situation, and based on that discussion, one learn more from the other person as well.
You'll learn from each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it is 8:01, so I know we started the show late, but we're going to keep things on schedule as much as we can this morning. So we're going to go to the 8 a.m. news, and after the news, we should be having an interview with candidate Ruth Bodden for Cayman Brac West, followed by the Premier, and then Maxine Moore a little bit later this morning.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, we'll go to the 8 a.m. news.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Orrett. Studio time now is 2 minutes past 8, brought to you with the kind compliments of Foster's.
Feast without the fuss.
Make Foster's part of your tradition this year with our full holiday feast.
For $94.99, you can feed up to 8 with a full meal. Order online, pick up in store.
Choose your main from our 12-hour smoked pork, oven-roasted turkey, or maple-glazed ham.
Or indulge your guests with our extra special herb-roasted leg of lamb feast or a 7-pound fried snapper for $119.99.
Order your full Easter feast online today at fosters.ky.
Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Right Start Preschool and Daycare in Savannah earns a satisfactory judgment after a recent visit by school inspectors. Right Start is currently the only privately owned early childhood care and education setting in the Eastern Districts, and it has 3 classes that cater to kids from 3 months up to compulsory school age of 5. During February's visit by the team at the Office of Education Standards, there were 49 students on roll. This is the second consecutive satisfactory judgment for the school after the last assessment back in 2022. The OES says Right Start staff interact positively with the kids, providing warm and nurturing care, creating a welcoming family atmosphere throughout the center, and the facilities are kept to a, quote, high standard, hygienic, and in good repair. The center is also well-resourced with space used to provide kids with, quote, safe and stimulating learning environments. Recommendations for Right Start include strengthening the progression of skills within the early years curriculum and creating a, quote, robust teacher observation system. The center is also being asked to refine the self-evaluation framework and school improvement plan and provide targeted support for all leaders alongside recruiting a licensed early childhood teacher. You can find the full report online at oes.gov.ky. A quick reminder to load up on the bug spray this Easter holiday. Here's Radio Cayman's April Cummings.
Recent heavy rainfall combined with high tides on April 7th have created the ideal breeding conditions for flooded areas. Mosquitoes typically emerge as adults 10 to 11 days after flooding events. MRCU has already been conducting larvicide treatments across Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman, and will continue operations throughout the week. Now, despite these efforts, officials are still expecting a rise in mosquito population. Residents should anticipate seeing more aircraft and fogging trucks in operation until the situation is under control. If you're planning an Easter camping trip, MRCU recommends using insect repellent containing DEET or picaridin, wearing long sleeves and trousers, and using mosquito nets when sleeping outdoors. The public's also being encouraged to download the MRCU app for real-time updates or join their WhatsApp channel for alerts. If you experience increased activity with the mosquitoes, email mrcu@gov.ky with the time and location to help authorities respond effectively.
Now, speaking of Easter camping,
our goal is to ensure that everyone can enjoy the beaches safely and responsibly. Together, we can make this a positive experience for everyone.
Acting Deputy Chief Inspector of the Public Lands Commission, Juliet Smith, tells Radio Cayman that means respecting the rules, keeping the areas clean, and being considerate of fellow campers. Campers are reminded that sites operate on a first-come, first-served basis, and cabanas cannot be used for camping purposes. While pets are allowed, owners need to make sure they're kept under control and aren't chasing wildlife or disturbing others. You can find the full list of camping guidelines at gov.ky/camping. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News. Volodymyr Zelensky has called on Ukraine's allies to put more pressure on Russia to end the war. He posted his message on social media, just as the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and envoy Steve Witkoff sat down in Paris for peace talks. Overnight, 3 people were killed in a Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. Hamas officials say the latest Israeli airstrikes in Gaza have killed dozens of people in camps for displaced Palestinians. Israel says it resumed its military offensive a month ago to force the group into releasing the remaining hostages. Senior Israeli politicians have called for attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities after an unconfirmed report from the US said Washington had rejected such plans. The former defense minister, Benny Gantz, described Tehran's leaders as experts at stalling and said Israel must strike Iran. The Colombian government is imposing strict travel controls after declaring a nationwide health emergency for yellow fever. 34 people have died since the outbreak began last year. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has urged Cambodia to resist trade protectionism. Earlier this month, Washington imposed one of its highest tariffs, a 49% levy on Cambodian goods, although that rate has been paused until July. The price of gold has fallen back from the record high it reached on Wednesday. At one point, it climbed above $3,350 an ounce. BBC News.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Value Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Bodden Town, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit Value Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bodden Town. Live happy, live healthy with Value Med Pharmacy.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Your voice matters. On April 30th, you'll be asked for your view on cruise berthing infrastructure. Would it boost tourism? What effects would construction have on the marine ecosystem? Can we handle more cruise passengers? Are there other ways to make tourism grow? On April 30th, you steer the country. Vote in the national referendum. Visit gov.ky/referendum to learn more.
Your voice matters. Your vote counts.
If you or someone you know may have difficulty getting to your designated polling locations on general election and referendum day on the 30th of April, you should apply for mobile voting.
You don't have to miss your chance to vote.
If you're in the hospital, a rest home, or are unable to leave your home, if you have a physical disability that makes it difficult to vote in person, or if you will be working on general election and referendum day and will be unable to get to the polls,
apply for mobile voting. The deadline to apply is the 17th of April. Visit elections.ky or call 949-8047 for more information and assistance. Your vote matters, and the Elections Office wants to make sure it's heard.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
Pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 81 degrees. Relative humidity is 79%. The barometric pressure 30.00 inches and rising. The wind is east at 10 knots. Overnight low was 77. Synopsis indicate moderate winds and seas can be expected to prevail through tonight in association with a ridge of high pressure building across the northwest Caribbean. Moderate to fresh winds are expected by Friday morning with moderate to rough seas. Radar images show no showers around the Cayman area at this time. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the near to mid-80s. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, fair skies with less than a 20% chance of showers and temperatures dipping to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet as well. High tide will be this morning at 10:49, low tide this evening at 5:39. The sun will set this evening at 6:42 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6 minutes after 6. And the outlook is calling for continued increase in winds and seas through Saturday as the area of high pressure continues to build near the western Atlantic. A small craft advisory is expected to be issued tomorrow morning with a small craft warning in effect for Saturday. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britke, where people come first.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman's cruise industry is already strong. With over 1 million passengers a year, we are ranked 6th in the region. But as cruise lines push passengers to spend on board, local businesses earn less from every visitor. A cruise pier doesn't fix that. It just gives cruise corporations more control while Cayman carries the cost. We have to ask ourselves, what else do the cruise lines and developers want from us? Instead of spending hundreds of millions, let's invest in solutions that benefit our people first. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's tourism should work for Caymanians, not cruise corporations. Save our Cayman. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
Sports. Stay up to date on your sports news with Radio Cayman Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's all about sports.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road, Rex Creighton Boulevard, flowing at a good pace in both directions. Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is moderate. Steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as Agnes Way. Slight delays expected. Slow-moving traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown. And eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on moderately. Huldah Avenue flowing moderately. And traffic on Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing at a good pace in both directions. Moderate flow of traffic on Owen Roberts Drive as well as coming from the West Bay four-way stop. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And if you've seen any accidents or incidents, let us know by calling us at 949-6990. Coming off of the Estella Tibbetts Highway, moderate flow of traffic and steady bit flowing traffic on North Sound Road. Industrial Park area, traffic is moving on moderately. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Have a good morning and drive safe.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
if they are talking about us.
Living in your head rent-free all this time.
We must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Hey Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked. You can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents? Browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students? Just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and guest hosting with me this morning is OC Orrett Connor. And we are happy to welcome our first candidate for this morning that we're speaking with from Cayman, our candidate for Cayman Brac East, independent candidate is Ruth Ann Bodden. Good morning, Ruth. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. How does it feel coming off the debate last night?
Awesome. It was very filling.
Excellent. That's good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, I know you told us a little bit about yourself last night, but different audience then. We have a different audience in the morning, and this is your chance to really speak to Brackers and the rest of the Cayman Islands. But give us a little bit of background about you and why you decided to run for your first time in the general elections.
Well, I'm a born Bracker. I was born in the Creek, Cayman Brac. Attended the Creek Primary School and also the then Cayman Brac High School, and graduated in 1985. So this year is our 40th reunion. And after that, which I was at a young age of 16, I went on to my first job at the Brac Reef Hotel. So that started my trail into tourism and doing audits. Then I eventually got some experience in real estate and also in the structure paving. So over the years, I've gained a lot of different experience in what happens in the Cayman Islands, but it all was within the financial range. So in 2021, I ended up getting a job at Cayman Airways. So I was there for 24 years. And like I always tell them, there's three things that I hold dear to my heart, which is children first, Cayman Brac, and Cayman Airways. So they were my three passions right there. And over the years, I've always stood up and advocated for things for the community, not just for the Brac, but also for Grand Cayman. I became a foster parent in 2009, actually. So I've been a foster mom for all those years, still is. And I got to see a lot of what happens in the community pertaining to the youth. So I try to support a lot of things to do with them mentally, physically, attending their, because what I have was 3 boys for the last 17 years. So I became like a soccer mom, was always at football matches. So dealing with teenagers is kind of hard, but children really just need structure and a lot of love and understanding and patience, and you have to listen to help. So that they are our future. So after speaking and advocating so much for things for our youth and for what is happening to our islands over the years, from 2008, they were building police boats, and I found out they were building 5. So I asked if we could get one for Cayman Brac, and if she could have all the bells and whistles that the boat, the bigger boat for Grand Cayman would have, which was the Cayman Guardian. So the one for the Brac was called Cayman Defender. So they got all the bells and whistles like I asked. And when they were doing their inauguration for those, I got my ride out on the boats, and I got to go in the Go Fast, which I love that because I do love speed.
I understand.
Then in 2013, I had this dream of the Cayman Islands getting our borders more protected. So I spoke to Mr. Alden. He said, let him think about it. And well, he thought about it, or he got too busy. Something happened. So in 2015, we lost 5 people to being youth again. So that tore at my heart again. And I went back, and at that time I spoke to Mr. Mose, and they put it on their manifesto and made my dream come to reality. So during that time, also the BRAC was supposed to have its own base. So now, like Ms. Julie said last night, they've advocated and put funds aside to start that. So that is a big thing for us here, because we're very close to other islands that use us for trafficking drugs and stuff. So we do need to protect our borders, and we also have refugees from Cuba that comes here whenever they feel like and comes shore, and then we'll find them walking. That should not be happening. The Coast Guard for the BRAC is not just for the BRAC. It is to cover Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, because if we have someone that goes fishing and they said, I'll be back by 12, they don't come back, phone not working, we have to wait on a good day about 4 hours for Coast Guard boat in Grand Cayman to respond to us here. And every second on that water counts because of the current. So we need our own, and we will be also protecting Little Cayman. So it would be doing like regular patrols every day, several times a day, covering both islands. That way, because by Little Cayman being closer to the BRAC, it's better for us to protect them, because Grand Cayman on a whole is 90 miles away. So it's a big difference. So they can manage there, and we'll take care of our little sister over there. But for Cayman Brac, we've been set back about 50 years, basically, because we don't even have a police station. We're renting a little space. The jail cell is a joke. We don't have a veterinary officer anymore. So there's a lot of things that we have gone backwards with. Our financial position in our district admin. If we need anything for the fire service, for CBC, immigration, in any government department here, we have to get it approved by Grand Cayman. And that restricts us so much. It's like we're incompetent to manage our own finances. For us to help anyone that's struggling on the streets, we have to get approval from Grand Cayman, when Grand Cayman is dealing with their bulk of people that needs help. So we need to have more financial control of our island. The maintenance of our structure on the bluff, where the pool, the football stadium, all of that needs to be renovated. So we're looking at repaving the track, and the pool needs a new system in there for that also. So I decided to run because after seeing all these things and whenever I see anything that needs to be fixed, because I keep on top of whoever's connected on Facebook or Instagram to the BRAC, and one complaint comes in, well, this has happened, I pick up the phone, because all these years I have gotten relationships with everyone. I have everyone's phone number right up to Franz Manderson on my phone, quick speed dial. If anything happens, so whenever anything happens in the BRAC and I'm at work and Grand Cayman and I get a phone call, well, this happened, and I was like, okay, I'll fix it and I'll call you back. And I'll just pick up the phone, I'll call the right person here in the BRAC. He goes like, this is happening, you need to fix it. And it gets fixed because the connection to the right people is what I have. So if I can do that by just being a regular citizen, a patriotic citizen, then why not be in front making these things happen before it becomes a problem?
Do you think that your constituents, and not just your constituents for Cayman Brac East, but perhaps for the BRAC altogether and maybe Little Cayman, would consider you to be a person of action, like you're actually really getting things done and not just there's the complaints that happen, right? And the people who complain don't necessarily jump into action. So would you say that they look at you as somebody who gets things done?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
What would you consider to be some of your top accomplishments over the years in being able to advocate for Cayman Brac and place for Cayman Brac that the residents need?
Well, one would be the coming off the Coast Guard.
Yep.
And the foster parenting and anything to do with tourism. I kept my eyes open for things like that makes a difference to tourists coming to the island. I spoke a lot, make phone calls. You need to do this. One of the smaller little things is I love Cayman Brac or something, that one of the little websites they have, and we don't have any place to put our stuff when we go diving. So I would make a phone call. We need a picnic table there.
Mm-hmm.
So within like 15 minutes, the truck is going, taking a picnic table there. Also for up by the lighthouse, tourists go there, and when they get there and they do the long walk, they come back, they're tired, they got to open their car doors and sit in the car door. We need a picnic table there. And it happens. So they're listening. The Brackers are willing to fix whatever the problems is. Once you bring it to their attention, or once there's funds there, they jump on it and solve the problems. So they are listening to whenever anyone complains in the community. So they try to fix whatever our problems are. So
what would you consider your top priorities for Cayman Brac East, should you be elected, that you would like to tackle right away?
It would be looking at their cost of living here, to cut down some of the costs, which I was in talks from last year actually on getting a cargo flight to the BRAC once a week, once the demand is there, because we're not going to fly just for a box of sweet peppers.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be to come once a week and bring like our produce or fruits, vegetables, and like frozen stuff. So that would be at a better rate than what we're getting now. So, and then everything would be fresher and nicer for the people. It would be that, and working on getting the proper, the pension and the insurance for the people that work on the road. I would like them to be under like parks, beautification, recreation, because they're doing an excellent job with keeping the BRAC clean. As I was coming here this morning, I see their cooler on the side of the road, because Public Works will go out and put their tools down for the day. So their cooler is there already. It was like, okay, they'll soon start working. By the time I come back up, I'll stop and speak to them, because I speak to everyone. So if you're on the street and you do drugs or whatever, I will sit and talk to you for an hour. And I've always done that. I don't separate people from what they
you see
are.
the humanity in them.
Yeah, I do. and I try to help wherever I can. If they complain that they need some help at a house to do this or whatever, and I'll say, I'll see if I can get someone to come and fix that for you. So I've always done that before I decided to run. So those are one of the two things I would like to get in place for them, in a better salary for them, because taking home $1,000 a month, it's nothing. And then, so they have to go to financial services to get the difference. So if we can move them away from that, because they're going to be pensionable in a couple of years. So if we get them on their little pension, then they have something to lean back on. But right now, if they get injured or whatever, they have nothing. So they don't have no health. If they get injured, they have to go pay for their own health. So we have to find a way to get them their little health insurance. Because when we got Cineco back in the 90s, the whole thing about getting Cineco was to cover the Caymanians from birth to old age. So if we get like the statutory authorities on board with Cineco, well, they're younger people. So they'll be paying for health insurance, but then it would be our older people that is actually really using it. So the funds would be working in our favor too, to protect them, and we get money coming back into government. So that is some of the things that I'm looking at. And for the BRAC, we do need bigger planes, because their lifespan is done. You have to traveling to the BRAC now is like trying to travel to Jamaica for Christmas. You have to book in August to get to Jamaica for Christmas. So for now coming to the BRAC, the flights are always full. So we need more planes. And the ones that we have is only like 30-seater. So like a 70-seater would be awesome. That would work for us probably for another 10 years. And then we would probably have to upgrade, because Cayman Brac is growing, because people are coming here to relax. And so, especially now, this is a long weekend for Easter. The flights are all full. And we can only run the flights as much as we can before they're tired. Then they'll break down, and then it delays the flights, and that angers our passengers because they want to get here. They want to start their festivities and stuff. So yeah, we do need new planes, and we need to upgrade. Cayman Airways customer service is awesome. It's so that's not the complaint. It is, we need more aircrafts for the BRAC, and it's not feasible to say, oh, we'll buy a jet for the BRAC, because with the fuel cost, we're not going to profit from that. So it would be to go the same route as getting like another ATR, but one with more seats, and it would be feasible for Cayman Brac.
Okay, we got to go to a commercial break right now. And when we come back, we'll wrap our segment with you. Got a couple more questions for you. Okay. All right.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I hope you're ready for change, because I know I am. Cayman ranking! Ah, yeah! Foot! Born and raised, Cayman strong. Northward roots where I belong. Cayman ranking is the way to vote. Ranking! Cayman ranking! We need. Ranking! Cayman ranking! We need. Ranking is the medicine that Cayman needs right now. That Cayman needs right now. Ranking! Cayman ranking! Ranking! The future of Bontown West is in your hands. The time for change is now.
Easter camping? Don't leave a mess behind. From the beach to the bush, clean up after yourself and take your trash with you. Littering is not just unsightly, it's illegal. Keep our islands clean for everyone to enjoy. Our power, our planet. A message from the Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and guest hosting with me this morning is Orrett O.C. Connor. We have with us in, I want to say in studio, but at the conference room at the Alexander Hotel in Cayman Brac, we have independent candidates for Cayman Brac East, Ruth Bodden, and we were just chatting about what her motivations were and what some of her accomplishments were in helping advocate for Cayman Brac. And I think O.C., you had a question you wanted to pose.
Sure. Thanks. Ms. Bodden, you seem, very upbeat, very optimistic, and your possibilities are just as good as any other candidate out there. But based on what you've said, and the things that you have done, it would appear to me also that irrespective of the outcome of the election, you're going to continue to work for the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, irrespective.
Definitely. It's because it comes from the heart, and when it comes from the heart, that is a big difference. I've done a lot for my people, but I don't speak about it, because when you speak about things like that, then it's not really from the heart. You're doing it for credit, and I wasn't raised that way. My mom did it, and during my campaigning now, I have discovered the things that my mom have done. That I mentioned last night, my mom was Cayman Brac's first police lady, and my dad was the police also. So I had to walk a very, very straight line. Going to school and like doing the campaigns, my aunt said to me, Ruth Ann, during political time, people are going to say things about you, but just let it roll off your back. And I said to her, I kind of used to that because I was a police officer's child. So one day I would have a friend, and the next day I didn't, because my dad gave her a ticket the day before. So it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. So like I've noticed during campaigning, people that you considered your friends and were close, because they're supporting another party or whatever, they stop following you on Facebook. They don't say good morning to you. And I go like, I wonder if these people realize that after election, we're all going to be back in the community, going to the same grocery stores and seeing each other. And we're going to go back to our way of life. So how are you going to explain to me why you stopped talking to me for 3 months? Yeah. But I'm a person where I just act as if it never happened. So I will continue on and just greet them and say morning, good afternoon, whatever, to continue life, because I don't hold animosity. I might get mad for the moment, but it disappears really fast. I'm a very forgiving person. So I will not stop helping my people in Cayman Brac or in Grand Cayman, because once you reach out to me and say, I need help, I don't care who you are or where you are from. If I can, and if I know who can, I will do it. And I will say, I'll call you right back. And I will call you right back, because I'm going to deal with that matter right away. So I will continue working for my people over here. We'll see.
Excellent.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left, and I know that you have a public meeting, right? Is it tonight?
Yes, I have a public meeting at the Spot Bay Park at 6:30 this evening. And it's the launch of my manifesto tonight. So come on out. We have light refreshments for this evening. Let's have a nice evening of talking about the problems and the Brac. Well, I think we pretty much know what the problems are. The people need the solutions, and I'm giving it to them, the solutions on how we're going to fix the Brac and bring it back to where it was back in the 80s. Like I explained last night, when I worked in tourism, Mr. Linton Tibbetts had direct flights here from Tampa, and the flights would be Mondays and Thursdays. And by the time the people left, we, the front desk staff, had to assist the housekeepers to get those rooms prepared for the flight that was coming right back in to fill it up. Back then, we sold packages that were all inclusive, which included diving, your hotel room, all you can eat, all your liquor at the bar, and it was tourism was booming for the Brac. What happened, I do not know, and our tourism product is what we need to also focus on. We native Caymanians need to be at the forefront. When I say native Caymanians, it's not in a bad way, but we need our dialect to be heard, because they come here to hear us, listen to us, and see our way of life. So if you're a Caymanian, you need to be born Caymanian to speak Caymanian. That is what I'm trying to get across, because it is we're dying out, because the younger people doesn't know how to even cook our meals, probably don't even want to eat it, and they don't speak it because they're picking up other countries' habits. They want to be like everybody else instead of being like us. So we need to instill that into them in schools. I've questioned some kids about what is their national flower, and some don't even know. So we need to push our histories also in the school and culture into the school. And we some of the kids are graduating and can't read and write. So we need to look at our education system also on some of the things where we can fix.
Right, I agreed with you. Our time has come to an end with you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on The Buzz. It was a pleasure to have you, to introduce you a little bit more to our listeners. And I'm sure the people of Cayman Brac know who you are, especially Cayman Brac East. But we look forward to see what else you're going to be doing in these next couple of weeks before Election Day.
Good luck.
Just under 2 weeks to go, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
12 days to go, or is it 12? I can't, 13? We'll go with 13.
I haven't even gotten nervous yet. I'm
nervous. I've been nervous.
When is that going to come on?
Thank you for joining us. Sure. Next, we're going to be welcoming the Premier, Honorable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, and we're going to be speaking with her for the next few minutes or so on The Buzz. All right, we're going to go to a break. Thank you.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
You're good looking. You have class. I never see a good-looking girl starve yet.
Mr. Gus.
It's true, girl. If you don't use the looks you have, then what else you going to use?
Mr. Gus.
Elite Productions presents The Rose Slip, a powerful comedic drama about finding hope when love falls apart. Directed by Leslie Ann Bernard, starring Michael McLaughlin, Wendy Miller, Zosha McGregor, Ivana Martinez, and more. 3 nights, one unforgettable journey, April 25th to 27th at Hartwell Theater. Tickets available at ticketsplus.ky.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
The Buzz, I'm your...
The regiment up here.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and guest hosting with me this morning is Orrett O.C. Connor. We are live from the conference room at the Alexander Hotel in Cayman Brac, and I'm very happy to welcome, because it's my first time having not exactly a one-on-one interview, but my first time interviewing and speaking with the Honorable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, Premier for the Cayman Islands and incumbent and PPM candidate for Cayman Brac East. So good morning, Premier. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm fine. In a day in a Brac is a good day.
Yes.
We get ready to go camping for Easter. So as soon as I leave here, I'll go season up all of my meats and get ready for a long weekend on the beach.
All right. You have a campsite set out already?
No, they go this afternoon.
Okay.
There's quite a few of us at camp for many, many years. It's a new thing for the Brac, actually. I learned that in Grand Cayman. Up in Easton with my friends there. We would go many, many years ago in the 1st of January. And then you had to hitch a ride because most of us didn't have vehicles. And if you had a family with the Volkswagen, you got there. Otherwise, you found a little place underneath a grape tree. So we've come a long way, baby.
Absolutely. And any time underneath a grape tree is a good time for me, for sure.
We got all the seafood ready and all the heavy cakes. We couldn't get much breadfruit, so I managed to get 2 from my tree in Cayman.
Oh, you're fortunate.
So we'll be roasting up with some ackee and saltfish, and we got some wilts and conchs and lobsters and pork and all this stuff.
Wow. I feel
And
like I might have to stay.
I usually end up in the kitchen, but I love cooking.
Okay. See, I'm learning a little bit about you right here that I didn't know about, so good to know. Now, I know that you were here for our debates last night. Thank you for joining us, and I want to know how the debates went for you. What are your overall thoughts about that experience?
I thought it was very fair. It was very equal. It was a level playing ground for all. And based on the feedback that myself and my office got, I think we probably hit very close to 6, if not a 6. That's cricket terms.
Okay, I would have rated you higher. I'm thinking out of 10 here.
No,
but
6 is the highest you get in cricket, actually.
Okay, all
Sorry,
right, there
this
you
is
go.
sports and me coming out.
Okay, I'm a sports girl, but not a cricket girl, so I'll have to familiarize myself with that scoring. Okay, now, I was hearing for I don't know how long that you weren't going to be running again, and then the switch was pulled. Well, at least it was pulled on me in that sense. So,
Me too.
You too. So, yeah, what motivated the sense for you to say, no, you know what, I'm going to still do this. I'm going to come back in the game.
Yeah, and when what you heard was the absolute truth. I, in fact, did not make that final decision until about 6:30 on the evening of PPM conference in Cayman. I was in Barbados for the CARICOM meeting, and that's where all the Caribbean leaders get together, talk about many things which are almost frightening when you look at the landscape of some of the candidates. That's not being derogatory, but you really need that institutional knowledge because we have a explosive situation in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, with Barbecue, the gang leader that's there. We've had the Kenya boots on the ground. We've had Prime Minister Holness in Jamaica who's been there. Obviously, the CARICOM is chaired by Prime Minister Mia, and we all sit through it, and we speak from presidents, leaders, prime ministers who try to come together in the Caribbean. For whatever reason, the United States have not come on board, and it's a threat to us in Cayman because we see that there's migration to Jamaica, and whereas Prime Minister Andrew can use his defense force and stuff, we don't have that at our disposal yet. We're just a building nation, and we're in the process of nation building with our Coast Guard regiment, etc. But once we don't get some urgent help based on our meeting on Friday, it's a real risk to Cayman that we could get not just Cuban migrants, but Haitian migrants. And we know that's a whole different kettle of fish. And then we see the terrorists that are coming from United States president. That's going to affect the cost of living. We talk about cost of living. Unless we get people on board that really understand the geopolitics and know the players and have some friends in high places that they can open doors. I mean, we've been talking with Mark Marco Rubio. My English and Spanish getting confused there. And is as a result of those talks why he went to Jamaica, then he went to Guyana to meet with President Ali there and the President of Suriname. And then he also went to the Eastern Caribbean where he would meet with President Young, Gonzalez, and President Meade, Premier Meade would not be there because he's an overseas territory, but we had the connection being an associate members. And so when we joined many years ago, people criticized the government then, but the Bible says a nation without a vision will perish. And I don't want to be guilty as charged for not having a vision. So some of my projects have been before its time, and thank God I've lived long enough for them to say, for example, when we were building the football field in the Bluff, I was audited and they found nothing. They said I was building it for cows. Well, I see some beautiful, strong, athletic cows there because it has just grown. And what it has done, and let me just say this before I go back to, sports has that wonderful capacity to bring people together.
Yes.
And our nation, even though we brag 130 something plus different nationalities, amongst Caymanians, a strange thing has happened where we are becoming so divided. I mean, you probably grew up here in Miss Miller and OC and the engineer, that we were like crabs in a bucket. And I was like, we didn't really eat crabs, at least in Watch Place. First time I ate crab when I went to Northside. That's another thing that...
Really?
Yeah, first time actually in Northside. I know how to pick them. I still don't know how to catch them, but I sure can cook a serious crab dinner if you wish. I said that to say this is that my mission is to unite the people, not just from a elective perspective. And I think history one of these days will be kind to me because only the four walls in the cabinet room knows what it takes to run a government with 5 ministers, inclusive of myself, and take on huge extra portfolios like financial services without in a proper briefing and go to England and come out better than we expected. And that was not easy. I mean, I've said that before. When we went there, I was a new kid on the block insofar that I was not the financial minister before. I had done it years ago with Truman and Tom. And I held out. And that was not easy. I took the position, well, you know, came here to represent the Cayman people. I will work with the UK to the best I can, but my first consideration is to protect the financial services of these islands. And so even when my team was telling me, no, Miss Julie, you need to go with it, I didn't have that feeling. I had done my research and I held out. I had built a good relationship with Stephen, Honorable Stephen, and it was Saturday evening they came back and said, you know, what's your position? And we were able to change the word in there, which was beneficial, not just to Cayman, because I sat in as president of UCOTA, but for the entire Cayman Islands. It's not going to take a rookie to go do that. And besides, I credit any success I have to God. I pray for everything. And I know my time is limited, so I prayed out there this morning. Oh, see, I didn't break the protocol.
Well, you mentioned so many amazing things right there and things that I didn't think about, especially when it comes to like Haitian immigrants possibly coming over as well to land in Cayman. When I go to the change in government, the change in premier, when you were asked to step up, if you could take over that leadership role, we've seen ministers step down, we've seen change in the speakers for the House. What does leadership really mean to you? And when they, you know, when you were offered, hey, could you step up and be premier? What were your, I guess, biggest priorities at then? So what does leadership really mean to you? And what did you realize this has to get done now that they've appointed me to be premier?
Thank you for that question. It's actually an excellent question. A leader isn't necessarily born. You're shaped and molded by your environment. And for me, my foundation is the Lord Jesus Christ. That's no secret. It's not popular in the corners, but it's worked for me for the past 64 years. So whatever time I have left, I don't see why I should abandon it. Having said that, every single time that I've run, I did not run for a position. I ran to be the representative of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, because that's how it was before the 2009 constitutional change to one-man, one-vote. After that, then I opted to run for Cayman Brac East, and that's probably one of the most difficult decisions I ever had to do, because where the demarcated line was, a lot of my family and friends are in the Western. I have about 100 and something close family and friends in the Western area, so you usually find persons that run there don't put me on one side because they realize 100-something votes is a lot of votes in a territory. And so I ran east. I was born in Watering Place. My father hailed from Spot Bay, and we grew up there. I went to Creek School, although I went to Western School, my aunt who was a teacher for a while, and then I went to the high school. I also was a runner, which most people forget. There was a time when I was the fastest female runner in Cayman, and that's how I got my scholarship to go and study physical education at St. Leo University. I came up in a time where I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor, but for whatever reason, although I was top of my class, I'm in the top 1% graduating from Cayman Brac High School, a scholarship was not afforded me for that. I was told I could get a scholarship, but I had to do teaching. And because I was very good in physical education, I said, well, I'll do physical education, only to have all of my professors at university say, what are you doing in physical education? You know, they tried to get me to do psychology, one of them wanted me to do physical anatomy, but I stuck with it, and I'm so glad. And that's why persons have different ideology about our curriculum. Some say that we should start before year 10 to point children where they should go, but especially boys develop, and that's proven later than girls. And a lot of time at that age, they don't know what they want to do. You know, I did physical education because I knew I wanted to go away. I was an avid reader, still is. And so although I hadn't seen the universities until I was about 14, the first time I got to go to the United States, and now because I went to run and compete at the University of Florida Gator Relays, I went in St. Pete, Tampa. I was chosen for Carifta. My dad was the police, and like any dad with a baby girl, he said, no, I was not going to go to Jamaica. And so Evelyn Rocket got to go in the place, and I think it was another from there. But it didn't prevent me the opportunities. I ran against the Marlene Otters and the Gator Relay. And most people don't know this tidbit. I'll share this with you. First, you heard it on Radio Cayman. We were the Barefoot Brigade with Coach Harper. They know that part of it. At this particular race at Florida Gator, I was anchoring, which is the last leg of the 4x100. And it was Marlene Otter, who was also anchoring for Jamaica, and Thompson from Bahamas. And of course, I was barefoot. And I got a good handover, so it gave me a quick sprint out into the last as I received the baton. Just before I got to end, Marlene Otter clipped me with her cleats because Jamaicans were proper attire and the back of my heel. And the rule was made then that we could not compete any longer as the Barefoot Brigade. So we had to come back and sell cakes and raise money from the very small private sector in Cayman Brac so that we could buy proper cleats. And so when I went back to in Cayman, they used to have the corporate race. I always ran the first leg, starting from Frank Conley down to High Rock. And Eastern, OC would probably relate to this. Easterners, especially when you got down close by Bradsley Bar, somehow or another, little rocks would come out of nowhere at us running, or little sticks or dogs and whatever. And just before I got to High Rock, I picked up, still running barefoot, a piece of glass in my foot. And of course, there was no option there. Jerry Harper was on his motorcycle because I had 5 more runners waiting for me to pass the baton. And so I continued running with my foot bleeding and glass in my foot, and I passed the baton. And the irony of that is that those days we didn't have a lot of trophies, but BATA, this takes us a long way back, from the White family, David and Christopher and those family. I got for the fastest leg in that relay, and it was a little pair of beautiful little white sandals that they got. And for me, that was good because we had Sunday shoes. The rest of the time we went barefoot. So I was so proud to show up Sunday school with these little sandals that I got. That taught me what a servant leader was about. You have other people downline on the various social demographics, and whether you're injured or not, you put yourself up, and that's par for the course. And there have been injuries along the political course. I mean, most people would see that I probably had more reasons to sue for defamation, for libel and stuff, but I have a bigger cause. My people gave me that wonderful privilege to represent them, and cost it what it may. I'm going to do that. And that's why I took the decision. I would not invest in any companies. I would not be hired by anybody else except the people of Cayman Brac, now Cayman Brac East. And yes, that was economic loss, but you know, love money is still the root of all evil. And you can see from the size I am, I don't starve. I don't have the lobsters every night or the beef. I go home many nights late, very late, actually, especially in the last 5 months. Crazy hours. I'm getting 2 or 3 hours sleep, but I have a country to run. And I feel that who God calls, he equips. And if I can stand the pull, he always will pull me through. That's a servant leader.
I love that. Who God calls, he equips.
Yep.
We have to go to the 9 a.m. headline news, but when we're back, I do want to hear about when you were appointed premier in this past term, what your biggest priorities that you were able to accomplish were.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Government is looking to make repairs at West Bay's Jefferson Beach dock. A request for quotes posted on the Bonfire Hub procurement website says Public Works is seeking hardware vendors to provide an estimate for the supply of the building materials to repair the West Bay Jefferson Beach dock. The close date for the tender is April 25th. Scientists have found new but tentative evidence that a faraway world orbiting another star may be home to life. A Cambridge team studying the atmosphere of the planet called K2-18b has detected signs of molecules which on Earth are only produced by simple organisms. This is the second and more promising time chemicals associated with life have been detected on the planet's atmosphere by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. But the team and independent astronomers stress that more data is needed to confirm the results. And the leaders of Canada's 4 major federal parties have been grilled about their response to U.S. President Donald Trump and clashed over energy and housing in their first televised debate of the country's election campaign. The French language face-off marked a key moment in the election as it gave leaders a chance to woo voters in the seat-rich province of Quebec. It's also a big test for the Liberal leader, who has a slight lead in the polls, but whose French is the weakest among the federal leaders. He at times struggled to articulate his points on stage. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
One radio station. Radio Cayman is the voice of the Cayman Islands. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and guest hosting with me this morning is Orrett O.C. Connor. We are live from the conference room at the Alexander in Cayman Brac, and we have with us the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Miss Juliana O'Connor-Connolly. So we were just talking about what leadership means to you, and you gave us quite an amazing backstory there on the resilience that it built within you to be a leader, and how much you are a servant of God, and how God equips you when you're trying to get ready to do something. Mm-hmm. Now, I said right before we went to the 9 a.m. news that I wanted to return to that second part of the question was, when you were appointed premier in these past couple of years here, what the biggest priorities were for you to take care of that you were able to accomplish in the short tenure that you did have?
Well, one of the biggest priorities was to try to form the government, because we had just come out a no confidence vote. Yes, we didn't lose it, mainly because the Constitution requires that you need 2/3 to vote against whoever the no confidence again, and that's entire government. That's one of the changes the Constitution brought. Before, you could go just against the lead of government business. Now, when you do no confidence, it goes against entire government. So it involves members of government voting against themselves, which has happened once before, back in 2012, when we had the last big no confidence shift of governments, and I actually was got premier at that time as well. That evening when I left, I picked up my bags and was going out of the parliament, and I saw when my previous deputy, Andre, went down the corner, was talking to Minister Pattern. I was in privy to the conversation then, but afterwards I was reliably informed by Andre that Wayne had said to him pretty much that he saw that he had lost the confidence of the group, go and try to form the government. And so when Andre said that to me, I was like, oh, that's going to be a challenge, because there were feelings running on both sides. John had gone over, McKeever had gone over, we just didn't have the numbers. Then I heard this huge thump on the outside of Parliament. I was like, oh Lord, what's that? So I just dropped my books and I went outside, and it was Norman, Mr. Patton's driver, who had a medical condition and fell. And John, who was coming around, actually, I'm told, I didn't see it, so I'm just going by what I was told, caught his head before it hit the toil. And I haven't done PE. That's how I know God calls and equips. Haven't done PE. I had to be state certified in Florida for the Red Cross and for CPR and resuscitation. Luckily, I didn't have to do resuscitation that day, but I just fell to my knees and I started to work on Norman, find out, take his pulse, see what was going on, ask him to call the ambulance, etc., etc. Minister Sabrina was there, and she came down, and that was amazing now that I look at it, because I got an injury to my left knee, so I don't go down easy, and it's even more difficult to come up. But that didn't matter. It was a Caymanian who was there. I had the skills, he needed me, and I went into action. And I remember, as we went through, there was 3 times that his pulse went extremely low. And I was like, oh my Lord, I'm not sure it's a heart attack or what's going on right here. And so eventually, when they called the ambulance, they came. I was like, bureaucracy in this country needs a revisit and some reformation. Why do I say that? They stood there with Norma and I, we were working on me and Sabrina, trying to discuss how they were going to get the stretcher up the stairs, because of course they got wheels and stuff in there. And I'm like, guys, listen, let's go back to basic. 3 men get on one side, or 3 women for that matter, and 3 get on the other side. You unlock your arms, put it underneath Norman, you take him out to the ambulance, put him in. And they did that eventually. That's a basic story to tell you that experience counts. Had I not gone to PE, chance I would not have done CPR. So then comes McKeever and John, and I just said, not knowing what the response was going to be, you guys, would you like to form the government? The former premier said we must try to form a government. And at the end of the day, the way I look at things is that if you are elected by your specific constituency, I respect that. Who am I to question who they put in? I may have a personal preference, but that is the representation. We are such a blessed nation. And for some reason, our people don't quite understand it. But I knew that whatever the task was, and that could mean I could have gone on a backbench, it mattered not. Because when you serve your people, I call it the P's of politics: position, power, pride, and prestige. If you let them get before you rather than leave your ego by the door, you'll never be the leader that any country, any church, any corporation needs. And so John offered his office, and we went there. And I remember going there praying. I said, Lord, if it's your will for me to step up from the deputy premier to the premier, then they will have to ask me. I will not lobby for it. And as an extra fleece, Lord, they need to ask me to be finance minister. Why? Because I was not prepared to run a deficit budget. And I knew to be able to do what we needed to do, we had to operate in a surplus. And as I got in the door, I kid you not, you can ask them, I was asked, we need you to be premier and finance minister. And I knew that that was my sign, and the Lord would provide it. Before midnight that night, we had formed the government. Mr. Patton attended the hospital with Miss Heather, with Norman, because that's his driver and that's the type of person he is. And so that in a way aided it, because you didn't have that feelings of like, oh, I'm going against my colleague, or, those things. Chris Saunders had come at the formation. The only ones wasn't there was Mr. Patton and Heather, but they were aware because we kept my telephone. And so we drafted up the document. My legal knowledge helped with that. Andre was there as well. Andre was designated to go to Mr. Patton's house for the signature, and it was all agreed. The reason why it was delayed, that we couldn't announce that morning, was because there was a change where Mr. John was supposed to get environment. Andre came back and called and said Mr. Patton would rather Miss Gatha get it. And so it was some negotiation back and forth. And so people wonder, why did you split heritage and culture? They're almost the same. Well, because when you're trying to put together and you got a minister who was just asked to not take something he was given the night before, but he wanted culture, then it's minuscule. For 5 months, they worked together in partnership, they ironed it out, they shared the budget. And so one of the big priorities was that we did get a surplus, and I was able to give the civil servants who worked crazy hard at a time when we're still not completely out of the remote working with COVID and the cost of living. The year before, I was able to give them $1,500. I asked my finance people to look at the team. There were savings in emolument, and we were able to give them $2,000. And so it was with some dismay when I saw this now politicized 2025 pre-election economic update, that without consultation on page 11, there's a notation that the uplift may not be considered. That was not done within a consultation. I can tell you, when I am returned, because I have faith that the people who ask me would put me back in, I am going to look out for the civil servants again. There are almost 5,000, about 3,000, less than 3,000 are Caymanians. And not everyone of them have a spouse in the service where you got a double income. And they ask who you development for. You development for the people of the Cayman Islands. And we would get nowhere if it were not for the civil servants. And I was a civil servant before. I know what it is to be on the receiving end, where you do the work and you don't get no conveyance of gratitude. And the salary is so low. And the other achievement I was able to do is that there are now no civil servants making under $3,000. And that has to be attached to cost of living. We were able not only to do that, but in January we gave a cost of living, which was backdated, and that's long overdue. We have to get to a place where that every single year the cost of living is given, because the same way that I have to go buy a loaf of bread, the civil servants have to go and do the same thing. And how do you expect them to grow Cayman? I wish every civil servant had a minimum of 2 children, because we're getting vast outnumbered, and they could have more, they could have 6, whatever, once they can take care of them. I think those were my biggest achievements, to get the civil service come together, to keep the cabinet together. There were occasions in the previous government where I had civil servants, including from the legal department, not wanting to come to the previous PAC government and the previous leader. When we first went in, I sat down with the governor, with the chief officers, and said, look, I will take this position that has been given to me, but it's on the condition that we treat this side of the table, which were the civil servants, with respect and dignity. And I got every one of the ministers there to say verbally that they agreed to that concept. And I said, Governor, I'm giving you notice from now. Any day that doesn't happen, I will be visiting your office. I will call an early election, and I'll go back to my people and explain why I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be a part of any party who's disrespectful for anybody, but in particular the civil service.
All right. You've listed some great accomplishments there in the short period of time that you could do it. Thank you. And as a civil servant, I greatly thank you for the increase in salaries, because, boy, I felt it and we needed it. OC, I know you have a question. We only have a couple minutes before we have to go to the next break and then bring in our next guest. So if you wanted to ask your question.
Yeah. Premier, everyone is saying that this election, again, puts the Cayman Islands at a crossroads, a pivotal, crossroad, crucial crossroad. In the 2009 Constitution, carve-outs were made for the sister islands to return 2 members to a parliament. How do the sister islands ensure that they're protected and looked out for by always having some form of representation in cabinet. We know the old days, district administration fell under the governor or the
Chief.
deputy governor. That has changed considerably. How could that work out where Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, they're always assured of that representation in cabinet?
I think if memory serves me right, it's section 89, 11, thereabouts of the Constitution that has carved out and entrenched from a constitutional perspective that there should be no less than 2 members from the sister islands that are returned to the Parliament. Obviously, if our numbers go up, and they will, then it gives room that it can be more than 2, but not less than 2. As far as the Constitution mandating it or making it a statutory obligation for a member from the BRAC to be in cabinet, having been there for a number of times, I would be very conservative in advocating for that. And here's the reason why. Nowadays, we're in groups or parties, and you were there in the UK, said, yes, we go this one man, one vote, but you have to be organized and have to be a party system. We saw the experiment of the independents, which people wanted change, and change they got, that they're same ones who actually advocate that change are now the head of one of the parties. I believe that to be in cabinet, you need to prove yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't go there as first-time candidates, because that's happened, and some of them have turned out to be very good. But I do not believe, just like I do not believe that you should get elected because you're a woman. I got elected because the people felt I was competent. I happened to be a woman, and it meant that for a change, this district, unlike some of the districts, most of our districts have more women than men. But for whatever reason, the women vote for the men. And that's, like I said, that we need to change. We started change in 1959 when we got the right to vote. And I hope that we've had sufficient women into the House to show that women can be equal with their partners. And that's what it is, it's a partner. I believe that the representatives from the BRAC over the years have been competent. I've worked very well with Ms. Moses Colonel, Cap Maybury, Gilbert, different ones that were there. But there may be 8 more competent persons from other districts. In fact, 2 from the BRAC may be more competent from the ones in Grand Cayman. And so we've seen that Moses and I were both cabinet members. So if you go down to that ratio and that quota, you may be, in fact, through diminishing returns, limiting your potentiality to maximize your returns for the BRAC. That's kind of a mouthful, but I don't think that you should be deputy governor or you should be premier just because you're from the BRAC. You ought, or Wesley from West Bay for that matter, you should be it because you're the most capable persons going on the global stage to represent the Cayman Islands.
Thanks for that, Prima.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us this morning as well on The Buzz. It was a pleasure to have you on.
My
first time to have you as a guest on the show. And we've got to go to our next break, and then we're going to have our final guest interview.
Hey, Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked. You can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents, browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students, just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore is back. Hop over to the Bayshore Mall on Saturday, April 19th from 4 to 6 p.m. for an extra special Easter celebration. Meet the Easter Bunny, enjoy sweet treats, and join the fun with the scavenger hunt, chocolate prizes, plus face painting, games, and more. And the best part? It's all free, including free parking behind the Bayshore Mall. Visit KirkFreeport.com for details. Happy Easter from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
The 6:15 Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
We bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord.
Radio Cayman, this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. He's a name in the name in the Lamb's book of life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and joining me as a guest host this morning is Orrett O.C. Connor, and we are live from the conference room at the Alexander Hotel. And last night we had our debate, so hopefully everybody checked that out. And I'm not quite sure the videos have uploaded to YouTube as yet from my phone. So if not, we'll still get them on there, at least the audio, so people can always go back and listen to how those debates went, because it was pretty good. And joining us as well this morning is Miss Maxine Moore. She's a candidate, an independent candidate for Cayman Brac East. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you today?
A little cold in this in this room, so I can't wait to go outside and get some sun. But pretty good. Excited with how the debates went last night. So how did you feel it went for you?
I felt really great. You know, the questions were all really good, and the answers from everybody was good too.
Yeah. It seemed everybody was on the same page a lot of the time, or being able to share different perspectives and just kind of opening up the conversation a little bit more, which was nice to hear.
Very, very good.
Now, you told me, I believe this is your 8th time running in general elections. So what keeps bringing you back, Maxine?
Every time that I decide that I am not going to run again, I get shook up from the good Lord up above and say, you got to run. So if you check it out, they had no competitions over the last years except for this year. So if I had not run at that time you were running for 2 islands. You were not split in half. If I had not really run after one man, one vote, you wouldn't have any elections in Cayman Brac. And if Elvis McKeever had not run the last elections, you wouldn't have had none in in Cayman Brac East, because there wouldn't have been no competition. So I'm persevering for future generations. I want to show the children that as long as you decide that, not decide, but it's put to you, by the people, for the people, that persevering does work. So I'm putting my faith in the good Lord up above, who I trust tremendously with everything that I do in life. And I feel that once I continue and put my points forward, that the people that do get in, if the people don't choose me, which they have not chosen me yet, I'm hoping this time around would be the best time, that the children will see that if you do something, you just don't give up on it. If you believe in something, if you set your goals in life, you just don't give up on it after one time. or 2 times or 3 times. The old man in Spot Bay, Mr. Bidey Christian, lived to be 105 nearly. He told me as a little girl, he said, try and try again until you succeed at last. And that's what I've been doing. All right. So
when it comes to Cayman Brac East, what are your top priorities that you would like to take care of should you be elected this time?
The people, because they have so much frowns on their face. It hurts me every time I see them. When I used to see them walking around with big old smiles on their face because they were happy. They were happy because they were making enough salary to buy food, to clothe their children, to educate their children. We could boast years gone by that, yes, the cost of living in the Cayman Islands was high at that time in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, before the 21st century rolled in. But the salaries matched it. After the 21st century rolled in the year of our Lord 2000, they stopped giving raise of pays for the cost of living increase. And that's why we're in the dilemma that we are now. Because they gave 3%, took it back. 5%, took it back. Every time they give, they took it back. So they didn't give anything since the 21st century rolled in. So how can the people keep up with the cost of living? They can't. It's impossible. Right?
So I didn't realize that salary increases were given but taken back. That's specific to the sister
Check it out.
islands.
Not just for the sister islands. I said 9.
And that's, that's a different point to digress
The
on.
cost of living was taken back, not your salary.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the cost of living can fluctuate a little bit, but it's never actually really quite gone down. We make adjustments to it, and it's a little different as a civil servant. But that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I want to focus on you and what
Thank
your
you.
priorities would be. So you say the people.
Mhm.
So that's one of the priorities. What would be the next?
I'm going to prioritize health and education. And then the third one would be agriculture. And I will deal with making sure that the young people and the older folks are well taken care of health-wise, and the ones in between also. Education. We say no child left behind, but we forgot to train them. I know they done a lot of training prior to 2000, and I don't know about too much training since then, right? So if we don't train our children to take over the post that we say that, they can do, or train them on the job, they're going to fall through the cracks. Then NAU will keep climbing with the amount of people that you have to feed, clothe, and educate.
Okay. What about vocational training opportunities in Cayman Brac? Do you think that's something that we need to grow quite a bit? Is there enough of that here right now? Any of it?
The way I look at it is God gave us the bluff for a reason, and it was not to blast it out to Senate Grand Cayman. We've been exporting our children. We've been exporting the bluff. We've been exporting everything out of Cayman Brac instead of trying to build what we have here and see it was put there for a reason, to protect the people of the Cayman Islands, just like the one in East End, Grand Cayman, and the one in Little Cayman up at Point de Sand, right? It's higher ground for tsunamis and so forth. So, but we fail to train our children to replace the work permits that we were having to get. And that is something that I believe is in dire need, not only for Cayman Brac East, but for the Cayman Islands as a whole. We need a trade school. We need a vocational school. We need to train all of our children. And I don't see any reason why everything must be in Grand Cayman. Is already overcrowded, So if they put a trade school on the bluff with dorms, the same how you would have to do if you send your children to America or Canada or the UK, it should be mandatory that as they leave high school, they get a 3-month break and then they have to start university here or trade school. children in Grand Cayman can come up, stay in the dorms, and learn a trade, and then go back home. The same how they would do foreign, if they went foreign. But here late, nobody's been doing anything. They've been talking about it. And all we get is talk, talk, talk. We're out of sight and out of mind, is how I see it from most of the MPs.
Out of sight, out of mind, how would you propose to bring the sister islands back into sight for people then?
All the ministers, I would like to see every one of them, every 3 months minimum, come up here and check out what needs to be done, not in 1 or 2 hours or a day, but give it at least 3 days and up here, and at least 2 days in Little to see what needs to be done with the post that they were designated to give, to take care of, sorry.
See, I guess I would argue with you on that point because I feel that the current representative for Cayman Brac East, so if we're looking at the incumbent, which is the Premier, Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, who we just had, she's here quite often, and she's boots on the ground here quite often. So from your point of view, are you saying that you're not seeing that?
I'm not talking about our representative for Cayman Brac East.
Okay.
I'm talking about all ministerial posts.
Okay.
All.
You believe all of them should have?
All of them.
Okay, gotcha.
Should be coming up here in Little Cayman, checking out what needs to be done. Don't leave it for somebody to tell them what needs to be done.
Gotcha.
Most of them don't even know what these 2 islands look like.
Okay.
Because they don't come. If they do come, they only come for important people. Like, for example, I've met royalty from Prince Philip as a little girl when he visited Cayman Brac, and the Queen, and our King Charles. I met him as Prince Charles. I also met Prince Edward, So I know how to meet and greet royalty, and they found the time to come to both islands, or 3 islands, right? But our ministerial people who have 3 islands to look after don't come. Come on. I can call names, but I don't want to call names. But there were a few years back, a Minister of Health, and we didn't see him at all for 4 whole years. So how would he know what's going on? Oh, well, we hire people to tell us.
Have you looked at, I'm pivoting here a little bit from that. Have you looked at or considered, should you be elected for Cayman Brac East, what certain policies you would bring in to help diversify the economy and to help, I'm going to say, the entrepreneurs here, the small businesses, because the sister islands really thrive on the small business community that is here. Have you thought of any policies that you would like to suggest or implement to grow the economy here?
I've thought about a lot over the years, even before I even started, thinking that maybe don't know how I can get through to the people if I try to run an election and get in. Okay. One of them is, as I said last night, is that Cayman Airways is the only airline flying here. Why? We have an international airline. That would alone would hire off at least good 8 to 10 people out of high school to, be at the airport, be security. And the economy here is, okay, I'll give you a good example of that. The cost of living in Grand Cayman is very high. You know that.
Yeah.
I know that. You got to double it for Cayman Brac, and you got to triple it for Little Cayman. A lot of people can't see that, but that's the plain truth. Now, the economy for Cayman Brac East, that includes the quick dock, right? Or means of food, vehicles, everything. It hasn't had any upgrade in donkey years. The same thing with Little Cayman Dock. It's a shame and disgrace to go down there and see that the people have to go endanger their life to get the little food or the vehicles that they want or they need. The economy of Cayman Brac East can boom, but it just needs the right push in the right direction, right? For example, A lot of tourist people go up on top of the bluff to just view Little Cayman Brac. Me, myself, like to go and look at it sometime. It's very dangerous for them stretching over the bluff. They could fall off, okay? So if we put something out there very, very clear, sound, solid, and do a parking lot, 3 people could be hired to man it 24/7. Because tourists go up there all hours of the night. While we're sleeping, they're still looking around. And years gone by, we'd say $2 for park. Now you got to say probably 10, right? You would make some money and build up the economy and find jobs that way. Also, with Long Beach, that or Cayman Brac's representative just bought, that has such historical views that it could be not only just put trails there for you to walk, but it could be charge a fee, go in and view what the old time people used to do. For example, Mr. Varian Scott, Mr. Dan Scott's grandfather, he used to chip out the side of the bluff looking for gold. But he got a hole there that is deeper than I don't know what, right? All of that people would love to see, and you would make money that way too. There's a lot of things that can be done, but I don't know why they just leave things as it is and say, oh, we soon get around to it, and never do.
Okay.
But it's a lot that can be done to build the economy, not only for Cayman Brac East, but for Cayman Brac as a whole, right?
And Little Cayman as well.
That's for sure. You can't forget Owen Island.
I'm not forgetting about them at all. Did you have any questions you wanted to add as well, OC?
Yes, Ms. Maxine. Last night you spoke about your connections to Cayman Brac East, but also your roots in Little Cayman. And we heard last night in the debate one candidate talk about the fact that generational Little Caymanians are feeling constrained, and while they respect the fact that we need to protect the environment, the biodiversity, and everything else over in Little Cayman, that some of them feel that they're restrained in terms of living comfortably, doing the things that they need to do for their properties because of the non-Little Caymanians who are protesting against it. Do you have a view on that?
All my life growing up, Little Cayman, it was always more foreigners there, most basically Americans, than what it was Cayman Brackers living in Little Cayman. There was only a handful of Little Caymanians born in Little Cayman and raised in Little Cayman and educated in Little Cayman, because Little Cayman really had the very first school in the whole entire Cayman Islands. Mr. Guy Banks of Northside started it for his children, right? I do know what the historical book says, but I beg to differ, right? And the non-Caymanians that are there, they have a lot of money because they're not from the Cayman Islands. And they're not necessarily have any papers either, but they own businesses because they bought businesses, you know? Those people that don't want the road there paved, they still want to see it dirty and rugged, they hardly live there. Those people that don't want to see an airport there really hardly live there either, right? And we as Caymanians, a handful of Cayman Brackers that live in Little Cayman, work there, have their business, like I think it's only me, Sam McCoy's Fishing and Diving Lodge.
Yes,
My mom and dad were the pioneers for tourism in Little Cayman. They went there in 1966, right? And I think we would not want to see a second grand for sure, but we want to see something that, if in case, for example, we take sick at night, we can get off and get help. it's a big problem. Big problem. It's even a big problem whether you're sick or not to get off of Little Cayman, right? Even though they got Twin Otters 3 now flying in, right? I feel within myself, my personal view is that they should not listen to what the non-Caymanians have to say and take it for the Bible, you would say. They should listen to those registered voters that live and work there. That's who should really matter when it comes to getting a resident doctor, getting an airport that not for jets, but for safety, right? Prior to Hurricane Ivan in Grand Cayman in September 2004, we had a Twin Otter left there and a Twin Otter left up here. Case of emergencies, we didn't have to wait till the pilot wake up, refuel, half an hour to get there if you're lucky. 3 hours later before the plane land, you just got there and you could get off because the planes can take off without light. Everybody that had a rat trap that had a light had to go there and shine light for the plane to land. We don't live in a third world country. Not as far as I know. So why should we suffer because of people who don't live there all the time?
Thank you.
That's a great way to wrap right there. Thank you so much, Miss Maxine, for joining us this morning on The Buzz. And OC, you've got the flyer open on your phone, so I'm going to ask if you can give us a little bit of info about an Easter event happening.
Sure, yes, we've been asked to share this, what's taking place in Cayman Brac. So the Spot Bay Committee, they're having their 4th annual Easter in the Park, which will take place on Saturday, the 19th of April, 2025. It starts at 3 p.m. The venue, again, Spot Bay Community Park. There will be live gospel music presentation at 7:30 p.m. There will be fireworks at 8 p.m. There will be free cotton candy and snow cones, free face painting for the first 50 children, free ice cream, walking tacos as well. This is a little fine print, so, it's straining the eyes.
No, you're all good. Walking tacos sounds interesting.
Corn dog bites, free corn dog bites. I'm going to just say free food.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, so that's from the Spot Bay Committee, their 4th annual Easter in the Park, Saturday, the 19th of April, 3 p.m., starting at 3 p.m. We may just cancel our reservations for this evening and stay until Saturday and go to the...
You might. I have Easter long weekend plans. On that note, we'd like to wish everybody a very blessed and a wonderful long Easter weekend. And thank you to all our candidates who joined us on the Buzz this morning. Thank you, OC, for guest hosting with me, and for you and for Jebby Ebanks for being our moderators for the Cayman Brac East, West, and Little Cayman debates that we had last night, and Dean Bremer, our engineer, everybody in the studio back in Grand Cayman. And to our listeners, have an amazing Easter weekend.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.